Accuride Corporation, North America's predominant manufacturer of wheels and rims for trucks, trailers, and buses, is pleased to present servicing and maintaining disc wheels as another safety and training service to the transportation industry. Wheels, a fundamental requirement for truck transport. From the smallest to the biggest jobs, wheels play a crucial role in getting work done. And keeping wheels operating properly is an extremely important task. Lack of attention or improper maintenance can spell big trouble where wheels are concerned. This video presentation will help you understand how disc wheels can be kept in prime working condition. You should become familiar with the proper tools and procedures for inspecting, removing, servicing, installing, and maintaining disc wheels and their components to help you to minimize wheel expense and maximize your rig safety and performance. The wheel is part of a critical system which also includes the tire and the hub and drum. Wheels may be either spoke or disc type and use single or multi-piece rim designs. This presentation will focus on disc wheels. A disc wheel is a combination of a rim and a disc permanently joined. It may be made of steel or aluminum or other less common materials, and it is attached to the hub by nuts and studs. There are two common disc wheel mounting systems: stud piloted mounting and hub piloted mounting. Wheels with a stud piloted mounting are called stud mount wheels and are centered by the nuts on the studs. These wheels feature chamfered bolt holes to accommodate chamfered nuts. In most heavy truck applications, these wheels and nuts have 7/8" radius spherical chamfers. The seating action of the nuts in the chamfered holes centers the wheel. Wheels with a hub piloted mounting are called hub mount wheels and are centered by the hub. Typically, bolt holes on hub mount wheels have no chamfers. Rather, the center hole of the wheel aligns on the hub pilot within a very close tolerance for accurate centering. The hub may have either intermittent pilot pads or one continuous 360-degree pilot. Vehicles should be routinely inspected. During these routine inspections, check the wheels for signs that can indicate the need for servicing or replacement. Look for rust or corrosion, cracks, bent, broken, or worn components, signs of mismatching or improper fit, and loose, worn, damaged, or missing studs and nuts. Check tire inflation pressures. If a multi-piece rim or wheel assembly has been run with less than 80% of its recommended inflation pressure, completely deflate it and remove it from the vehicle. Following OSHA procedures, disassemble and inspect the tire and rim assembly before inflating. Do not exceed the manufacturer's recommended pressure. Both the tire and rim have specific inflation pressure ratings. Inflate only to the lower pressure of the two. During any inflation, stay clear of the trajectory, which is the path the components could take upon separation. During routine inspections, also look for signs of loose or improper fit, such as rust streaks around nuts and studs. Replace broken or loose studs and all studs on both sides of a broken stud. These studs may have been overloaded and could fail. Remember, not all nuts and studs are interchangeable. Check to make sure you are using the proper nuts and studs for the type of wheel being serviced. When servicing disc wheels, use the proper tools to make the job safe and easy. You should have a jack and wheel block, a tire valve wrench, a dolly or tire lifting bar, a wire brush or a file, an appropriate socket wrench, and a torque wrench. When removing the wheel for servicing, first block the wheels so they remain stationary and jack up the vehicle. Then deflate the tire completely by removing the valve core and running a wire through the stem to ensure that deflation is complete. Rotate the wheel to position the nut at 12 o'clock. Apply the brakes. Then loosen this nut with a socket wrench. Then loosen the nut at 6 o'clock. Remove all other nuts before removing these two. Then remove the wheel, taking care not to damage stud threads. Thread damage can impair proper torquing. After demounting tire from the rim, inspect all metal surfaces, including the rim and the mounting faces of the wheel hub and drum. Look for any condition that would impair their proper function, such as excessive rust or corrosion buildup, cracks in metal, bent, broken, or worn flanges or components, bolt holes that are worn, damaged, elongated, or have burrs around them, worn or damaged nuts, bent or stripped studs, improperly fitted or mismatched components, and irregular mounting surfaces. Replace all parts that are not fit for service with new ones. Never hammer, braze, weld, or in any way attempt to repair a damaged or excessively worn part. Destroy them so they cannot be reused. The TMC Wheel and Rim Out of Service Guide provides valuable information to determine the cause of wheel problems and the appropriate actions to correct them. Before reusing wheels, hubs, and drums, use a wire brush or a file to remove any burrs, projections, rust, paint buildup, or dirt and grease that would impair proper fit, especially around studs on the hub and drum, and in and around the bolt holes and chamfers on the wheels. Sanding, light sandblasting, or a solvent bath may also be used to clean wheels. It is especially important to check that the mounting areas of the wheel and the hub and drum are clean and flat. The flatness of a hub and drum can be checked using a straight edge and feeler gauge. Hub and drum manufacturers generally recommend a flatness tolerance of no more than 20/1000ths of an inch. Painting the metal surfaces of the wheel will help to prevent rusting and corrosion. Before repainting, make sure that surfaces are clean and dry. Brush or spray a fast-drying metal primer on all bare metal surfaces, including the tire side of the rim. This is especially important on tubeless rims, since moisture inside the air chamber can increase the chances of corrosion. The total paint thickness on disc wheels should not exceed 3 1/2 of an inch, about the thickness of a typical magazine page. Avoid paint buildup in critical areas, such as on wheel mounting surfaces and in bolt hole chamfers. Allow paint adequate time to cure. It must be dry and hard before installation to ensure adequate protection and prevent nut torque loss. If you are servicing tire and rim wheel assemblies, always follow all the proper procedures and safety precautions as outlined in OSHA Standard 1910.177. Included in these important requirements are: before servicing, completely deflate the tire by removing the valve core and running a wire through the stem. Always inspect the condition of the wheel. Check the service literature or wall chart to make sure you are working with properly matched components. Always be certain you have properly seated components before inflation. Inflate using a clip-on air chuck with remote valve and air gauge. During inflation, keep the assembly inside a safety cage or OSHA-approved restraining device and stay clear of the trajectory. Refer to the Accuride Rim Wheel Safety and Service Manual to determine the proper tire mounting instructions for the type of rim being used. Also available is the Accuride video, Servicing Single and Multi-Piece Wheels. To install 10-hole 11 1/4 inch stud mount wheels, first place the wheel over the studs, taking care not to damage the threads. Snug the chamfered nuts in the chamfered bolt holes. For a front wheel or inner dual, begin with the nut at the 6 o'clock position, then snug the nut in the 12 o'clock position, and continue in a crisscross sequence until all nuts are snug. Do not tighten fully until all nuts have been seated. Then tighten the nuts to between 450 and 500 foot-pounds, using a torque wrench and following the same crisscross pattern. For an outer dual, first make sure that the hand holes are aligned to allow access to the tire valve. Then begin with the nut at the 12 o'clock position. Snug the nuts in a crisscross sequence. When all nuts have been seated, tighten them with a torque wrench to between 450 and 500 foot-pounds, following the same crisscross sequence. If air wrenches are used, remember that they must be periodically calibrated with a torque wrench to verify torque accuracy. Do not over-tighten. Do not lubricate the nuts or studs, as this affects the clamping force. For some European stud mount wheels, different nuts are used. These and wheels with other mounting configurations may have different stud sizes, which may use different torque values. Refer to the Accuride Rim Wheel Safety and Service Manual for the proper torque values and procedures when servicing these wheels. Failure to follow these procedures could cause wheel failure, which could lead to an accident or injury. When installing hub mount wheels, first lubricate the pilot or pilot pads with a light oil to prevent galling. For a hub with intermittent pilot pads, position a pad at 12 o'clock to center the wheel. With hub mount wheels, two-piece flange nuts are used to clamp the wheel against the hub and drum. Before reusing old nuts, lubricate the area between the hex and flange with 1 or 2 drops of machine oil. This will allow the parts to rotate freely and provide the proper clamping force when tightened. Flange nuts generate higher clamping force. Therefore, always use grade 8 studs with hub-piloted mounting systems. The nut tightening sequence is the same as used for the stud-piloted mounting system. For a front wheel, begin with the nut at 6 o'clock. Then proceed with the remaining nuts in a crisscross sequence. Snug the nuts first, then tighten to the recommended torque level of between 390 and 500 foot-pounds. Verify torque levels with a torque wrench. Do not over-tighten. For rear dual wheels using a hub-piloted mounting system, there is no inner cap nut. Slide the inner dual over the studs, taking care not to damage the threads. Align the handholds for valve access and slide the outer dual over the studs. Begin with the nut at 12 o'clock. Then proceed with the remaining nuts in a crisscross sequence. After the nuts are snugged, tighten to the recommended torque level of between 390 and 500 foot-pounds. Verify torque levels with a torque wrench. Do not over-tighten. Always use a hub mount wheel on a hub mount hub and a stud mount wheel on a stud mount hub. Remember that stud mount wheels are identifiable by chamfered bolt holes and chamfered nuts. Hub mount wheels generally have bolt holes that are not chamfered and use flange nuts. These distinctions are extremely important. If components of these two systems are mixed, the wheels would not mate properly. This would cause wheel failure, which could lead to an accident or injury. It is also extremely important to have adequate support behind the wheel. The hub or brake drum should supply a full 360-degree contact surface to properly support the wheel. Intermittent hubs are not recommended. Their inadequate support may result in wheel failure, leading to an accident or serious injury. 50 to 100 miles after installation, retorque the nuts. Thereafter, check torque levels and retighten accordingly at regular intervals, such as during routine vehicle maintenance or tire changes. For stud mount dual wheels, back off the outer nut to retorque the inner cap nut. In severe applications with high load and harsh service conditions, wheel life can be reduced because of wear or corrosion to wheels, hubs, and drums. Accuride Corporation has developed wheel guard separators to prevent the wearing action between the mating surfaces and extend the service life of wheels. The wheel guard separators are placed between the hub or drum and wheel. The wheel guard separator can also be used between the two wheels of a dual assembly. Wheel guard separators used on trucks and buses over several years show greatly reduced wear and corrosion on the mounting surfaces of the wheels. Wheel guard separators are also recommended for use with aluminum wheels to prevent wear and maintain their finish. Now that you have seen the procedure for maintaining and servicing disc wheels, remember that regular inspections can help you identify and deal with the symptoms before wheel problems occur. In this way, you can reduce your chances for accidents, damage, and downtime. For more information on servicing wheels and their components, Accuride Corporation will send at your request any or all of the following materials: the Accuride Rim Wheel Safety and Service Manual, the video program Servicing Single and Multi-Piece Wheels, and OSHA wall charts for rim matching and servicing procedures. For consultation and technical support, call toll-free 1-800-626-7096.